Hello and welcome to the Sappho and Her Sister podcast. My name is Allie. I'm Sappho.
I'm Heather. I'm her bratty little sister.
So we are going to be doing a full episode of kind of who we are in a way, kind of a segment off of the intro about stories that we have kind of from the beginning.
It's going to be part story time, part our story time.
Right, exactly.
So,
Thank you. So yeah, welcome and let's get into it. So we thought this was a good starting point from the Reddit thread r/dads. It was from 25 days ago. It says unknown child meeting. Hey dads, 6 months ago I discovered I had a child from a previous relationship 23 years ago. I'm going to meet them this weekend. Any other dads that have dealt with something like this? I'm nervous and don't know what we should talk about when we meet. I want to be supportive and present, but not overbearing. Any advice is appreciated.
I feel like with this person, they really are in a good spot because they didn't even know that child existed until recently. So they haven't been actively ignoring this child. And also with the child being 23 years old, that's very much old enough where I think they'll be able to understand like the dynamic and why things turned out the way they did. Also, I feel like just the way that he worded it, just tell the kid that, they're old enough to understand that you want to be there for them, but you also don't want to be weird coming into their lives. I feel like they would get it.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. It sounds like that they found each other mutually in a way that wasn't negative. It seemed like it was a very neutral or positive experience when they met, and that they were both consenting to meet together. It's just a little first time jitters in a way from what he's phrasing it.
That's obviously gonna happen.
Yeah. So the reason why we specifically picked this one was because that's how me and my sister met about 8 years ago.
Roughly, give or take.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
That's probably accurate, even though it does not feel like you've been in my life for that long. 8 years seems like a lifetime, but yeah. Doing the math, it's been about 7 years since I was in high school, so yeah, that seems about right.
Yeah, I just remember it was around when I was 20. So to preface, I did not know my dad previously before this. I knew of him, knew my grandparents, but one day my mom called me. I was at work. She's like, hey, your dad might be reaching out to you. I gave him your number. If you want to have a relationship with him, great. That's your deal. Kind of have at it. How was your experience finding out about me?
No, she existed until I was probably 17 years old. Somehow our grandparents kept it from us. I know you knew about me, but I didn't know about you at all.
Yeah.
So I was just going on about life as normal. And then one day Dad sat me down and I'm like, oh boy, what's gonna happen? Am I in trouble or whatever? And then he told me about you and I was like, sick. I have a sister. So I always wanted a sibling growing up. And I never got one. None that I knew about. But yeah, and then I don't. He probably had met you at that point.
And I think so, yeah.
He was saying, if you want to meet her, that's cool. And I'm like, heck yeah. So we set up to meet at a restaurant, and
oh my god,
obviously
okay.
it took a couple years for us to actually get close, but I feel from the beginning, we were chill with each other.
Yeah.
Someone I could see myself being friends with.
Exactly. Okay, so funny story. The first time we met, we were at a restaurant local here, And the waiter comes over. They're like, okay, what would you like to eat? And we both order paninis of
Without
different
tomatoes.
kinds, without tomatoes, without onion, and no pickle. Both of us, never knowing a single thing about each other until that moment. And the waiter said something to the effect of like, "Oh, you guys must be sisters," and we're like, "Yeah," but we didn't really know each other. um,
I'm just
so yeah,
picky with food in general, but we do have quite a few things in common. I feel like we also have a lot of
cilantro,
differences.
cilantro.
Yeah, I never really liked it. I don't have the soap gene. I just don't like it.
Yeah, I also don't like cilantro. I am picky, but with
Do you have
certain
the
things.
soap gene? Where
No,
it tastes like soap?
it
Okay.
just tastes gross to me.
Yeah, same. It's
But
like mint, but worse.
mint is okay.
I like mint.
Yeah.
It didn't need any improving upon.
But yeah, so that's how we kind of bonded from first meeting. Kind of bouncing back to the story, my experience being a child meeting a parent for the first time after 20 years. I had only seen like really older pictures. I knew around where he lived.
How different did he look from what you expected?
Very different, like 20 years different. But there's also that level of like, it's very similar to going on a first date with someone that you don't know, except you also don't know what they look like. You don't know how they are. You've never really communicated with them. Um, and you just have no clue going into it what to expect. Um, but it was very humbling in a way where it was like, oh, okay, like relax, it's fine, it's gonna be okay. And it's in a way you are kind of dating, but there's that very fine line you have to be very careful with. Being an older child meeting their older parent, um, there is a type of, I don't know if it's like a phenomena or something like that, but where there's a level of intimacy that was never there.
Yeah.
So that
Like
boundary can get crossed very quickly.
he's never parented you.
Mhm.
Like he never had any authority over you.
Mhm.
Like I would always get shit for stuff that you were like freely doing that he knew about. It's like, excuse me,
Yeah.
I'm an adult too.
Yeah. Um, but I guess in the way of like, because you're meeting that person and you're in a sense dating them to a degree, sometimes there is that incestuous nature. So that is something to be very careful
I
about.
feel like I want to clarify that because it's like
It's not
it's
every
not in a
type.
romantic way, but it's more like gauging the situation
Yeah.
of like how are we going to get along? Are we going to click? Do
Hmm.
we want to have like a familial relationship in the future?
Yeah.
But I feel like the stakes are higher because like him or not, that is genetically your dad.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's very interesting to figure out who your parent is, and I'm assuming from the flip side it's very interesting to figure out who your own child is, who you may not know about.
That must have been freaky.
It was like there's still things that I like have no clue
Like
about
what?
him. I don't know. You don't know what you don't know.
True. I could probably fill you in on a bunch of stuff. But
Exactly.
I feel
So
like you have a good picture of him though.
yeah, for the most part. But like,
We are
I
predictable people.
yes, we are very predictable people. We are always on time for food. That is never a question. If there's food involved, we are always on time. Um, but yeah, I had a stepdad growing up from like sixth grade to currently. Um, so he kind of filled a little bit of that dad role, like taught me the dad things um, that I would kind of need growing up as like a young girl. So I did feel like I had that kind of dad presence, but he wasn't biologically mine, and I had always wanted to meet my dad
Aw.
and my sister. um, So it was something that I was like very happy about, but I wasn't sure how it was going to go. Um, but it went very well. We are very pleased with
We're
meeting
like
each other.
this.
Yeah. Um,
Did I look anything like you pictured me?
well, I knew what you looked like.
Oh,
Yeah, they
all
showed
these
me
grandma show you
pictures.
pictures? Yeah.
Yeah, she showed me pictures.
I had no idea what you were gonna look like. I
Like
couldn't
dad
even picture.
apparently.
I'm just like, I don't know what I'm walking into, but let's do it.
Yeah, exactly.
I was wondering if is there anything about your first meeting with him, your like introduction to him that you would almost like advise against, or like anything that was like you would have done differently if you're in his shoes?
If I was in, um,
I,
like
I know, like obviously, like you would have just been in the kid's life the entire time, but
I feel like every scenario and family dynamic is different, and there's always three sides to every story. There's one person's side, there's another
in the
person's
truth.
side, and what actually happened. So it's very difficult to have a conversation with someone who, in their mind, you may have betrayed them in a way, or like disowned them, or had disregard for them in a way. Um, so just be patient with those feelings for them. I know for a while I did have a lot of anger and resentment for him because I've always wanted a dad in my life. However, as I got older, realized that he's actually a good guy. He's a great dad to my sister. He's always been.
Good people can do really stupid shit.
Exactly. So, regardless of the scenario, I try to put that aside and form my own judgment. And I'm actually glad that it happened now as an adult rather than younger, because then there's that dynamic of, oh, where were you for 15 years and now you're trying to discipline me? Like, back off. So that's also very difficult. But regardless of the situation, it could have been a familial misunderstanding, it could have been work, it could have been anything of the sort. And at the time, they're humans too. They thought that they were making the best decision in their conscious mind for what was going on in their life at that time. So if they thought it was the right decision, and then looking back, they're like, oh, shoot, I shouldn't have
Actually
done
messed her
that.
up.
Yeah, I shouldn't have done that. I should have did this. I should have did that. Um,
I still don't know why. It's not like he was against having children.
Yeah, but that's the thing, like, being a child of that, I had to kind of let go of like, oh, like I'm never going to actually know what exactly happened because I'm always going to get two sides of it.
I'm nosy. I'll probably eventually pick into that someday.
Yeah, maybe on a deathbed.
No.
But it's just very you have to look at it objectively, like, okay, this person is trying their best now to communicate with me and have a relationship with me. Take it for what it is, assess your own feelings in that scenario, both parties, and if it's something that you both want, then great. um like I said, it's very similar to going on a first date, figuring out if you want that type of familial relationship or not, and kind of moving forward and things like that.
I actually did have a similar experience. Not
Hmm.
anything to that degree, but with our shared grandparents, there was a good chunk of my life, like give or take a decade growing up, where why are you laughing? What
It
did
would take a decade.
I don't remember.
I don't know why that was really funny, but go ahead. Go off, sis.
There was a while where I just straight up didn't see or hear from them for a while,
Hmm.
and I didn't really get why. I still don't know why. It's not a great time to ask now, but I eventually want to ask my dad about that.
Hmm.
But like around the time that he reconnected with you, obviously I was like very close to adulthood, so I was like I had enough maturity to be like, "Oh, I'd love to meet her." You know, like that's awesome. Like
Mhm.
And with my grandparents, like, I was never, like, bitter about not seeing them for a while.
Yeah.
I didn't know the story. I was just like, I'd like to see them again. They're still my family. I love them, like,
Right. Exactly.
and, like, I never, like, carried anything. Like, of course I didn't know the full story. So, like, I wasn't about to point fingers when I just didn't know anything.
Exactly. And
But our family is unique. It could have been any one of them that pissed off the other.
yes.
Our grandmother has a very strong personality. Our dad is weird.
Weird. I mean, yeah, I guess we're all kind of weird.
Like, I say this with love, of course.
Yes.
But
Dad, we love you.
we came from a very unique family.
Yes. So,
Like, who else knows, like, an old woman that's gotten a speeding ticket, gotten into an accident with her own father? Like, this woman was off the wall
yeah,
in the best way possible.
absolutely. So yeah, our family dynamic is a little bit, there's a lot of branches.
Whose is normal though?
Yeah, that's true.
Like, I feel like I'm like the like spoiled kid that just like grew up with like never needing to worry, like didn't have anything like traumatic happening. Like, I just grew up with my parents, and for most of my life they were together.
Mhm.
It wasn't until about midway through high school that they separated, and even at that point in my life, I was just like, when you're in high school, you're kind of like laser focused on what you're doing and what your friends are doing, and like
Mhm.
family stuff is like,
I'll look at it later.
yeah. So I always knew that they were like very wildly different people. So
Mhm.
I was kind of like, yeah, that makes sense. And even then, it was like, it wasn't even like a traumatic breakup. They were just kind of like, this isn't working out. And I'm like, I get that. Yeah. Like,
Mhm.
do what you gotta do to be happy.
Agreed.
So, like, I kind of feel like I've been spoiled, but
Mm,
I,
I
I
wouldn't
feel
say
like
spoiled.
I feel like later in my life, like the more recent years, is when I've been like really going through stuff that I
Mhm.
never had to experience as a kid. So, and a learning curve.
Absolutely. And I think for both of us, having very different sides of that familial spectrum can give us a good perspective on like certain topics like this. When we're reading or answering comments or whatever, having that, oh, okay, like what was it like having a two-parent household? What was it like having stepsisters and a stepdad and trying to discipline and like living with them and stuff like that. So I think it just offers a unique perspective that I personally may not know about and I'm interested in. Like, I don't know. What was it like?
What would you want to know specifically?
I don't know. I don't know. I just like can't shit. I don't I'm
You
at
don't
a
know what you don't know.
exactly. Yeah, it's like, well, what does one do in a happy marriage? Who knows?
It's kind of sad though. Just like knowing that like you're not sure if you want marriage, like I
Yeah.
feel like that probably affected you. Not
Well,
having like a happy marriage to compare that to.
I've
I know your
never,
mom and your stepdad have a pretty good relationship, but
yeah. There's, in my formative years, there's never been anyone other than my aunt that has been married, other than my nana who is a widow. So, um,
what about
there,
your grandparents?
oh yeah, yeah, grandparents, of course. Yeah, all of them.
Our grandparents are soulmates.
Yes. So both grandparents, my mom's side was a widow, my aunt was married. There was some turmoil over there, and but my mom raised me basically as a single parent till she met her now husband. They actually got married, I don't know,
I remember when they got married.
5, 6 years ago.
It wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, it was very recent.
I had come into the picture of her life
Yeah. And then knowing that, like, by the time I met my dad, he was going through a
His divorce.
separation, a divorce.
Because that was like right around the time that they were divorcing.
Yeah.
It was like
So,
all this shit happening, and it's like,
yeah. So it's
okay,
like, yeah. So it's very, like, I guess for me, not wanting marriage is like, well, I don't want to have to sign a paper and pay money if I want to leave or like get out of something where I'm not happy. I don't want to have to pay to get out of it. And I feel like those things are just all around pretty messy. However, like the aesthetic of like getting a ring and like maybe doing a photo
I
shoot or
love
like
that.
that stuff is pretty exciting as well. So I can't say that I haven't thought about it or want it. It's
Give me
just
all the glamour, performative bullshit. I want it.
but all like the legalities and like technically it is a contract is what kind of is pushing me away from it. But yeah, I have not in my formative years I did not see I wasn't around people who were married, quote unquote, like my parents or things like that. We didn't really talk to my aunt throughout my early years. So I wasn't really around it to know what it would look like.
I kind of have like a complete opposite view on that because growing up with parents in a stable relationship and then their divorce being fairly amicable, like
Mhm.
they're kind of friends now.
Mhm.
Like genuinely, like if they're in the same room, like they'll just like talk and like catch up and
Yeah.
because they have all the history together, like they have like a sort of like a
Bond.
rapport with each other, like
Yeah.
certain in jokes and everything. And like it's really sweet to see. So I've never been like afraid of marriage or divorce
Mhm.
because like with them it was like never the end of the world that they were divorcing.
Yeah.
So like it doesn't bother me that much. I just remember like before I learned how to drive when they would like meet up like
Mhm.
kind of in between their houses like take me back and forth. They they would be chit chatting for like 10-15 minutes and I'd be like I just want to go.
I just want to go
Like
home.
great for you but also I want to go home.
You can call each
I
other
don't
in
care
the
what
car.
time. Just take me home.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm very thankful for um the experiences that I had growing up, being on a little bit of a lower income bracket and like certain struggles. I would not change that for the world. So I think it's made me a well-rounded human. I look at things a little bit differently than some people would. So, or experiences that like I may not look like I have had. So, it was a little rough sometimes, I will admit, but I feel like it did kind of have like a little piece of me in it in a way. So it's like, oh, like
It
this
forms
is
who you
kind
are.
of part of me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like honestly, them cold spaghettios right out the can. Ooh, my favorite.
I've done that, but not because of like poverty or anything, just because I was fucking in the mood for spaghetti.
Listen.
That's like a fat thing.
Yeah, we love food over here.
Spaghettios just hit.
Yeah, cold spaghettios. Listen, I don't
From
know why, but they're my favorite thing. Like, struggle or not, if you give
what
me,
kind of spaghettios is your favorite? I always go for the ones with meatballs.
I don't care.
I have a strong preference toward the meatball.
um, but yeah, so like certain things that I like wouldn't have thought I would need, I guess, like skills that I was taught because of the situations that we were in make sense now being an adult and being on my own. So, like making sure that you can afford everything by yourself before like moving in with a roommate or a significant other or something like that. So that way you know that you can support yourself on your own before like if anything were to go wrong. So that's some advice that my mom has taught me, and I've always took that to heart. When I was younger, I was like, oh, like it's fine. Like I just want to live with like a significant other. Like it'll be fine. I want to live with my best friends. And it's really just not the greatest idea. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do, but um stuff like that wouldn't make sense when you're 14, 15, 16, 17, now being in my mid to late 20s, later 20s now, makes a lot of sense and it's the advice that I would give younger people.
If my parents were struggling at all, I did not know or notice.
That's how it should be though.
Yeah.
Like you
I almost feel bad in a way because it's like I didn't really learn a sense of self-preservation. I just like have anxiety, and that's how I survive. Like I just am like overcautious about things, and like so like I have to be super prepared for everything. Like they the purse that I carry around, like my mom jokes around with me that it's like a fucking duffel bag because it's like so big because it's like I carry everything in there.
It's really not that big. It's maybe what, like 12 inches long.
It's heavy though.
Yeah, you can just fit a lot in it.
There.
It's not a
multiple
bag.
pens, multiple lip glosses, my wallet, my charger, my cordless chargers, portable chargers, Midol, aspirin,
Anything you could need or want, usually.
anything I might need.
That's normally what a purse is for.
Yeah.
A purse. A purse?
Occasionally some rocks live in there until I remember that I put them there. Which makes it more heavy, but not noticeably heavier than it normally is.
You ever heard the saying you gotta like take the rocks out of your bag? Like
No.
let go of shit? You never heard of that?
No.
Oh my god.
Where did that come from?
It's like a metaphor of like, okay, if you're on a hike.
Actually a thing?
Like it's
genuine?
It's a metaphor, yeah.
I thought you were just like teasing me.
No. So the metaphor is like this guy, like he's going on a hike, right? And he loads up everything he could possibly need in his backpack.
Me.
And then as he's struggling to go on the hike, he gets more tired. And the partner that he's with, he's like, oh, well, if you're tired, you should lessen your load. Like, take stuff out of your bag that you don't really need. And then the point of it is like, by the time he gets to the top, he threw out like half of his stuff or whatever, or like discarded it in some nature. And it felt a lot easier going down the hill with less things because he like let go of the shit that he didn't need.
See, I'm the kind of person who would be like, that's great for you, but I need this for emotional support just to know that I have it on me just in case.
Yeah.
It's just come in handy though. Like,
yeah, some emergency supplies does. Not everything, but like you don't need a fry pan.
Everything in my purse has a purpose.
See, that's functional.
Yeah. See that, Mom? Don't give me shit for it again. I know she will. And I know she's not going to see this.
Absolutely.
I think our next part of this is probably going to be just our experience as sisters and how we got closer. I will say probably this year is when we actually got close.
Exactly.
Like obviously we were like good friends before, but this year like we got tight.
Absolutely.
I will say we probably the catalyst for this was when we went on a trip to Washington D.C. together. I will say I had a wonderful time, all except for the fact that I literally could not stop worrying about Sammy the entire time.
Yeah.
Sammy is my cat. I lost him like a week or two after we got back from the trip.
No, it was like a few days.
No, because it was like...
It was like 3 or 4 days.
It was probably less than a week.
Yeah, because you were like, oh, like... Yeah, we got back like the 29th or something.
Yeah, it happened very quickly, but I mean, when you have an elderly cat, it's like any day could be the end, you know?
Also, preface,
terrifying.
I do have a cat. Her name is Lily. So if you
probably end up seeing her, but right now she's like curled up in a box. It's so sweet.
So if you hear any meows, any scolding, any type
If
of,
she jumps in the frame.
yeah, so she'll also make a guest appearance, hopefully.
A note for our editor, I'm definitely going to send you pictures of Lily to put in there because she's a beautiful cat. You need to pay the cat tax. If you've mentioned that you have a cat, you gotta show them your cat.
Okay, fair
So
enough.
we're gonna pay the cat tax.
Yes.
But anyways, depressing stuff aside, like actually spending time with you like one on one, like that was when we could like open up on like a more human level. Like obviously like spending time around our family, like certain stuff we're not gonna discuss.
Absolutely not.
Like I didn't know how much of a hoe you used to be. I say this with love and respect.
Yes, yes.
If
Peace
you
and
want
love.
to cut that out, we can. But
we have some experiences. I'll say that we have had some experiences out here.
that just wouldn't have come up at like a family gathering.
Yeah. You can't talk about your thoughty stories with your family. Is essentially what you're saying. TBD on release dates for those.
Yeah. Like I'm no judgment on that because it's like, just do what you gotta do. Have fun.
Yeah.
Just don't date shitty people again.
But yeah, so after I guess also to preface, this entire year for me has been new.
Awful.
New and awful. So like
for me it's been awful.
Kind of going on a trip with her kind of helped solidify like, okay, like I am thankful for the people in my life and want to spend more time with them and get to know them better. Yeah, absolutely. So like being able to have that like sister time in the car driving for 6-7 hours, being there, like actually having those sister moments, like a sleepover slumber party that we never
That's
used
exactly
to have.
like it was.
Yeah, so it was actually super fun.
I wish I'd been able to enjoy it more. That's why I want to do another trip with you. Now that I don't have a cat that worries me.
Yes.
Well, the cat that I have now is like an absolute punk. She's still a kitten, so she worries me a little bit, but I don't worry for her safety and health. So
you also have to pay the cat tax.
Of course.
So
Joe will send you pictures of me now. Joe's our editor. Hi, Joe.
Hey,
Say
Joe.
hi to the people.
Cut that. I'm kidding.
Let him have a moment.
I know. We love you, Joe. Thank you.
But yeah, aside from that, like that was the catalyst, but I think what really like cemented everything was losing our shared grandma. Like the grandma that we're both biologically related to.
Yeah.
It was kind of sudden and traumatic, but also kind of drawn out at the same time. Like we knew, like once like the big medical emergency happened, that we knew it was like gonna happen. So it was like really freaky for everyone in our family, and like shitty for me because on top of like losing my best friend, my cat, who was like my best friend of like almost 20 years, that ripped my heart out. But now I have to deal with the loss of like the closest family member that I had ever lost before. Like, I wasn't even as close to her as I was to my other grandma, but still, it was like, it still doesn't feel real. Like, I'm just so used to her being like around that it's like,
yeah,
it feels like I could just drive over there now and just be like,
hey, what's
okay,
up?
Grandma, what do you need now?
Yeah.
Because we would always go over. We would always go over to her house, and there would be something or another that she was like, "Oh, could you get me?" I said, "Yeah, sure."
By the way,
it's very bizarre.
Yeah. So I think us being in the same familial position to her also helped. And it was very validating for both of us that we kind of had the same emotional experience as one another, where it's like, okay, like I feel wrong for feeling this way, or I feel like a little guilty, or like I don't know how I should feel. Like, how are you feeling? Because I don't know what I'm supposed to do in this scenario. She was also the first close family member that I've lost as well. So, that being said, it like really kind of brought us together closer. Honestly, the podcast would not be up and running if it wasn't for that.
Yeah, we definitely got so much closer since then.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say within the past month.
She was so proud of us, though.
I know.
Like, she always wanted us to meet, and she was so happy when we finally did. She loved seeing the two of us in the same room. So I feel like this is a nice little way to honor her. Just like,
Yeah.
we're gonna spend so much time together.
Don't you even worry about it, babes.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so that's kind of the essence of the podcast too, is to kind of like get to know each other better, to spend time and like
just have fun together. Just shoot the shit together.
Exactly. So,
I will say the one thing about our grandmother that I've always appreciated, she was literally, she would always tell us how proud of us she was. She would always tell us how pretty we were. I'm like, there's no doubt in my mind what she thought of us.
oh yeah,
Like,
she's fine.
we know she's proud.
That's very true. But yeah, it's definitely nice because we didn't have those earlier years of bonding where this is kind of fast tracking the pace for us in a way.
So we're catching up.
Yeah. So,
and also with you figuring out your identity as a lesbian and me being autistic, like I didn't figure that out until
earlier this year, I think. Or late.
Oh, I've known for a while.
Really?
Probably 2019.
Oh wow.
Because I was working that job at the shoe store, and I had so much trouble being on the sales floor because my managers would be like, "Can you please like greet these customers? Like, how about you do your job?" And I would always, I was totally fine with organizing stuff on the floor. I could do that all day long. I could keep that shop like so fucking neat. But when it came to actually interacting with people, like I didn't know, I didn't understand why it was so hard for me to just like go up to someone and say, "Hi, do you need any help with anything?" I didn't get it, but it was so difficult, and it got me wondering, like, what's actually happening here? Why am I like this? And I ended up learning about autism, and everything made sense. Like, I'm definitely neurodivergent, definitely autistic, not 100% sure about ADHD, but a lot of that I can relate to too. But like, over the last like 4 years or so, like everything I've learned about it, like everything makes sense. Like, I always knew as a kid that I was like a little bit weird and a little bit different. Like, I always had this inkling that like if I walked into like a therapist's office, I would probably walk out with a diagnosis of something. I just didn't know what it was. And when I figured that out, it's like everything makes sense. Like, all the problems that I've had with like friendships falling out, it's like, oh my god, I didn't understand my behavior, and now it's like, now I know. It's like, oh my god, if I could just sit them down and be like, hey, I'm autistic, here's why I reacted a certain way. It's like, I feel like, I kind of just feel like I want to be understood. And it's Lily Bean.
Oh my god, that scared the shit out of me. I was like, did the camera fall?
She just sat up.
Yeah, she's a big girl.
We need a Lily cam.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's very frustrating because with the younger generation, obviously we share a lot of things like that, and there's a lot more information, but generally across the board, not a lot of people understand what it is to be neurodivergent, which is really frustrating because I've basically gone my whole life with people like not understanding how I operate. And it's like, but anyways, it's like we've been bonding more over like our life paths and our like different perspectives on things. So obviously you've had a lot of self-discovery. You still have a ways to go. Yeah. But you're on a really great path, and I'm so proud of you.
Thank you. Yeah. So in the recap this year, well, it really started like the blizzard of last year.
Oh god.
So
by the way, if you want this to be cut out, let me know. But we're in the Buffalo area. We are known for getting snow. Yes. Known for it.
I'm not. We can leave that in. Okay. But yeah,
I'm not going to get into like specifics, but like the general area.
Yeah, we're in Western New York. We get some snow here, and everybody knows last winter we got
The
hammered.
worst blizzard in a while. There were a lot of people that died. There were so many feet of snow.
Funny enough, okay, about our grandma, okay, so she calls me the day after the blizzard. She's like, "Are you alive?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I answered the phone." I'm like, "No, it's my ghost grandma. Sorry, she's not here right now."
Or like in the back of her mind, she was like, now that you had answered the phone, it did answer her question, but she knew it would be funny if she just went with it anyway.
Exactly. So I'm like,
I think it was her way of making sure you're okay.
yeah, I'm like, I'm here. Yep, sitting on the couch. But yeah, so a week before the blizzard, I broke up with a very
horrible toxic person.
Yeah, a not good ex. Maybe in a later episode we can delve into the things that I've been through in that arena.
That's gonna be like a whole therapy session.
So breaking up with him, having the blizzard, and kind of having some medical issues earlier this year, going through some work changes, going through some friend changes, getting back into therapy, also trying to better my health, getting on a better relationship with my cousin, who I don't really talk to that much previously, but now I'm pretty close with. What else happened this year? Trying to move to North Carolina, hopefully soon. Maybe, maybe not. I'm not sure.
We'll so sad if you move.
We can just do the podcast down there.
Just virtual.
Yeah. So
it's fun.
I know. So trying to do that, basically just like trying to better all different arenas of my life while still having car issues, still having job issues, still having family health issues, still
just
having
trying to survive
health issues with myself, trying to survive as a single woman in Buffalo, also figuring out that I'm gay halfway throughout the year and being like, oh wow, okay, similar to how she mentioned, like everything makes sense now. Like the dots are starting to connect. And shortly after I came out, I think it was when we were actually in the hospital with grandma that one time, our dad's girlfriend was like, "You look radiant. Like you're glowing." And I was like, "Is it because I'm gay?" But I was like, I feel more confident. I feel more myself. I feel more like I don't know, more me in a way. So like also going for more walks at night by myself, doing more things by myself where I traditionally would not have. And I think that's also important to figure out who you are and what you like to do.
That's called growth and self-care. We love to see it.
Yeah. Also just like changing certain habits. Like okay, not today, but for like a month and a half, maybe more, I've consistently made my bed every day. And I'm not a bed maker. I've
the need to.
Never been a bed maker. I'm like, I'm going in the same spot, gonna do the same motion to curl up before I go to sleep. So
like it's just me. I don't care.
Yeah.
And neither does my boyfriend. Like I don't know. Anyway.
But I don't know, like I switched my room around, started selling stuff that I didn't need anymore, just like all types of weird stuff to like move or change certain things so that way it felt more relaxed and more me. Also, every aspect of my life has changed pretty much this year in any way, shape, or form. Yeah, so work, relationships, health, family, vehicle, financial. So in all arenas, it's like, okay, everything is shifting. We need to form a base foundation of who we are first, so that way anything that changes, we can handle it.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's going pretty well.
On my side of the story, I would back it up all the way to like last September. From my perspective, it feels like there was a curse laid upon me from this awful disaster of a production that I was part of, that I never should have been part of. It was kind of traumatic.
What was that?
I'll tell you off camera. Okay. I will probably discuss it eventually, but it was a hot mess. And then immediately after that production wrapped, I got COVID.
I think I remember. Yeah.
I got COVID from one of the lead actors. And I had been sick for a few days. I thought it was a cold because the first COVID test that I had taken, I think it was like when stuff was just starting, and it was negative. But
Mm-hmm.
it was, so I was sick for a little bit, and then on the 26th of September, my great uncle died. And then 2 days later was my mother's birthday. I went over to her house thinking I had a cold and went out to dinner with her. And the next day, I knew I was going into work. And because I was still sick, I was going to like double check a COVID test. So I took a COVID test the second I got home and it came up positive. I had to call my mother and tell her, I am so sorry I just exposed you to COVID.
Oh my god.
And that just kickstarted like the most awful 12 months ever. Because after that, there was the blizzard, which a large part of my family lived in the areas that got it the worst, including you.
Yes. Give me 1
So-
second. I'm gonna grab my charger, but you can keep talking. I'll be right back. Promise.
So I was lucky enough where the area that I lived, we were plowed out within a couple of days. And I was able to see my boyfriend and part of his family on Christmas. But I was still separated from the rest of my family for like probably a good week. Like it was literally like New Year's Eve when I finally got to have Christmas dinner with my mom's side of the family. So that sucked and that was hard. And by the way, because of you, I almost had a we could have died in the blizzard.
Me?
I'm not gonna blame you.
Because of me?
Well, okay, remember you lost power, and then you were talking with Dad about like if this doesn't come on, like what do I do?
Yeah.
So
Our
There was
love
a
our
big-
dad.
there was a good moment where he was
Half tempted to drive through 2 travel vans to come pick me up, and I'm like, please don't risk
I-
your life.
I was definitely going to come with him with like a blanket or something because I wanted to help.
Yeah.
So
As much as I love
I'm
y'all,
so glad that we stayed at home because we would have died.
absolutely. But like,
Fuck.
thankfully, my power was only out for 10 hours, 9 or 10 hours.
So you didn't have to go the night without heat.
Yeah. Listen, from that point, in my cold 42-degree apartment, 5 layers deep, with candles that I had just bought for Christmas presents, and rum and cold bread. Meanwhile, I have not showered that day. I did not eat anything. I lost power when I came back from Walmart and after buying all the candles.
Aww.
And so didn't eat, didn't shower, didn't charge my phone. I didn't get gas. I was royally fucked. And that moment when
Well, at least you couldn't go anywhere because you didn't have gas. So like,
yeah, well, that was the only thing keeping me warm and charging my phone.
right, yeah.
So my gas tank was less, it was running on fumes basically. And then my phone was at 10%. And I told my mom, I was like, listen, if you don't find my carcass in like 2 days, I'm out. You got about 2 winners out of me and I'm gone. I'm sick of this shit. I'm not trying to do it anymore. But being in that moment of like not being able to use my phone, it's cold, it's dark, it's silent, I'm alone. That's like the word, like the low of like no one can come get to me. I can't entertain myself. I can just sleep. So like,
And that feeling of not knowing when
mhm.
everything was gonna be okay again.
Yeah, I was sitting
Freaky.
on this couch right here, bundled up, eating a slice of bread. I had a tear in my eye, forming in my eyeball, and the power came on. And I have never ran to go make a hot pocket so fucking fast. That was the first thing that I did.
Such a visual story.
Yeah, I'm sitting here like, oh my god, like I can't believe this is fucking happening. Like I'm gonna die.
That's like straight up.
And then I'm like, oh my god. And I called my mom. I was like, do you see this? Do you see this fucking teardrop right now? Yeah, I shit you not. I shit you not. I had a tear forming.
So then after we survived the blizzard, a couple months later, I got into a car accident. I was okay. My car's door was like dented in to the point where I could hear the wind whistling when I drove.
Oh my god, that's so funny.
And this was like March, so of course it was still cold out.
Mm-hmm.
And then early April, I lost my Sammy. I will absolutely pay the cat tax because he was the cutest, sweetest, best kitty ever. If you guys are going to see him, whether you want to or not. And that was the hardest thing I've ever been through. Like, literally, I've lost a grandparent. It was so much harder to lose Sammy
Mm-hmm.
because it was so much more personal to me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, literally being there when they put him down, like, it just ripped my heart out to, like, hand him over and then realize he was limp. Like, that was freaky. Like, that was the worst.
Yeah.
But I remember going home and just, like, deep cleaning the house, like, deep cleaning the spare room where we had all his, like, litter box and everything, and just, like, crying while cleaning, but, like,
Good
wanting
crying.
to clean because I wanted to get another cat immediately.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I can't deal with this. There's, like, a hole.
Mm-hmm.
So that was shitty. And then, anyway.
Back to our tangent.
Okay.
Other technical difficulties.
Okay. It's all good. We just needed to empty the memory card. So back in April, not too long after I lost my Sammy, our grandma had a stroke, and she ended up being okay
Mm-hmm.
after that. Like she was able to come home from the hospital and everything, and like she was doing all right. We didn't really see any like loss of cognitive function, any like physical impairments. Like she was pretty frail and like needed a walker to get around, but
Mm-hmm.
that happened before the stroke. Um, and then she was on the mend from that for a little bit. And then in early August, she had a seizure and they took her to the hospital and she got severe brain damage from it. Like she was maybe sometimes aware of us.
I think she was.
I think she had some moments. There were some moments where she
Yeah.
was definitely like she definitely nodded. She was
Mhm.
definitely like looking at grandpa like
Yeah, or like moving her hand, or she was trying to take her socks off. Like there, yeah.
constantly ripping out her feeding tube. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. So
She was feisty.
it was very rough all the way around.
And then about 3 or 4 weeks of that, it was probably like 2 weeks in hospital, and then like the third week they moved her to hospice because they noticed well they were doing all this testing with like to see like how much brain damage she had, and they were just like, she's lived a good life.
Yeah, it's not much else we can do.
They sent her to a really nice facility, and I actually know someone that works there, so that was cool.
Mm-hmm.
But she passed after about a week in hospice,
Mm-hmm.
and we had about a month to like process it as things were happening, but it still sucked.
Mm-hmm.
I will say being with everybody for like the wake and the funeral, like that was nice. Like I genuinely enjoyed spending time with everybody, but it was like
For the
for me that
morbid reason.
some non-morbid reason, just because like
Yeah.
it was nice to talk to everybody again and like reminisce about good things. Like, but for that really felt like a really low point because it was like, what else is gonna happen? That's like a catastrophe.
Mm-hmm.
That was like, I can't fucking take much more of this bullshit.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And I'm trying to think, there was like, oh, in my mind, by this point, I was like, okay, I think it was that one production that cursed me. I am so close to it being a year since it wrapped up. If I can just get to like Sammy's birthday, because his birthday is like mid-September. If I can just get to like Sammy's birthday, I'll survive. The curse will be gone. Everything's gonna be good. And first week of September, I got a cold.
Oh my god.
Which felt like just one final kick in the shorts. But ever since then, like Genuinely, it does feel like things have gotten better. Like there's been a weight lifted off of my shoulders. What? She does this to me all the time. I made her laugh twice at both funerals. Both funerals.
Okay, to clarify
On
what.
purpose.
So she blows her nose like she's a trumpet player,
Oh my god.
and it's
I'm trying to get out of there. I'm trying to get this stuff done.
it scares the living shit out of my cat when she does it because it's so loud and abrupt, but it's so funny.
You should know what it sounds like when people blow their nose.
Everybody blows their nose like that though. Like mine doesn't sound like a trumpet unless I'm like sick. But the reason why I'm laughing is our dad always says kick in the shorts. I think
that's probably where I got it from.
And for some reason that was just a very dad thing that came out of your mouth, and I was like, what the fuck?
After spending 24 years under the same roof as him, yeah, he's rubbed off a little bit.
Yeah, sorry, but continue. Another kick in the shorts.
By the way, the sneezing thing or blowing my nose thing, that was one of the ways I got her to laugh at the funeral. So.
Oh yeah.
I know you. I wouldn't be a kid sister if I didn't have what I mentioned.
Yeah, that was kind of funny.
Think about the person we were celebrating. Like,
yeah,
she would have laughed.
However,
she would have laughed at me trying to make you laugh.
However, in a sad moment, it's very weird to laugh as everybody's crying.
She's a chaotic human. I think she would have seen the humor in that.
True, very true. But anyway,
since
the beginning of September, after your kick in the shorts,
like it feels like things have gotten better.
Yeah.
Like everything is like I can handle this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing the thing. It's getting better, and I refuse to believe that things are gonna keep sucking because I just cannot handle it.
I feel like 12 months of uncertainty and sucking is enough for me.
Yeah.
So like
I've had my full 12 months and I'm just like done with it.
Yeah, mine will be the end of December. So, but also I did actually an exercise this like maybe a couple weeks ago, like 2 weeks ago in therapy. Well,
it's in therapy, by the way. It's going great. If you don't have a therapist, please find one. They're amazing.
Yes. Do not go through BetterHelp. BetterHelp, we see you.
We'll never take a sponsorship from you.
Yeah. Being from the mental health field,
we know.
Good try.
We know better.
Keep it pushing, buddy. But yeah, go into therapy for just regular maintenance, just like your regular physical. But yeah, so my therapist didn't tell me to do this, but I actually in my computer did a side by side of okay.
Oh my God, I just realized glasses don't.
It's fine. But I wrote down all the good things that happened this year and all the bad things that happened. And then all the good things that I learned about myself and all the bad things that I learned about myself. So, and honestly, there were a lot more good things, even if they were tiny things like getting a new computer or like, I don't know, being self-aware. So like just small little things like that kind of in numbers can't speak. I swear it's coffee in the cup. In numbers. No, it's not. It's fucking Starbucks at 8 o'clock.
It's apple crisps from Starbucks, and it's amazing.
Yes, highly recommend. It's cold now, but it was hot. So in numbers, there were a lot more good things that happened than bad things, but the bad things
must be amazing.
The bad things were pretty big bad things.
Oh,
so
major.
It kind of like weighed out, but it put it into perspective for me. Like, damn, I actually kind of had like throughout all the bad shit, I did have some really good high points. So yeah.
I will say on my end, other than actual therapy, probably the biggest form of therapy was like listening to Howard Jones. Because like I discovered his music at like the end of July, and then when all that bullshit was happening, I was just like listening to him, and it's like a lot of his songs are so positive. Like his biggest hit, Things Can Only Get Better. Like a lot of it is just like he just has the good vibes, and it's like I fucking need that right now. I think it got me through the month of August.
Young M.A. got me through the month of August. If you
I don't know who that is.
You know. If you don't know, then you don't know. She's
For all that we have in common, on a musical level, we could not be farther apart.
yes.
When she talks about music, it's like she's speaking another language.
Same here.
I do feel bad for her whenever like me and our dad are talking about music because we like obviously he raised me on the stuff that he would listen to. So a lot of the stuff that he listens to is in the same genre that I like. So we can talk like have like a scholarly conversation about music, and then she'll just be like, I don't know what you guys are talking
Like I've heard of the things or the songs and the people that they've
about. Name a couple.
Metallica, Styx, Duran Duran, who else?
You passed the test.
Yeah, sure. We got it. Essentially, like, if I call it soft rock in a way, like stuff that's like easy listening to some degree, where it's like I probably know the song if I've heard it on the radio, but I couldn't tell you who it's by or what the song is called unless like a couple. But I used to be the same way until I had two stepsisters who, when we had back in my day iPods, where you had to go through LimeWire to download all the songs. So my mom, we'd give her a list of all the songs that all three of us wanted. So it'd be like, I don't know, 100 songs. And she'd download all of them on all of our iPods. So I was like 14 listening to like Smack That by Akon and like Bone Thugs and Harmony and not knowing a single fucking thing. But I actually really liked it. So I'm more in the rap R&B realm.
Listening to the Mamas and Papas at 14. And the Monkeys. I was in my 60s era.
Yeah. So
I would consider my genre and Dad's genre to be like classic rock. Dad was always into more like
rock
metal,
yeah,
like the heavier stuff. Whereas I'm like, I can do a little metal, I can do a little jazz, I can do soft rock, I can do disco, I can do like all sorts of stuff within like the older genre. I will say two of my favorite bands of all time are actually not that old. Um, ever since the pandemic, I got really into Bare Naked Ladies, and they are one of my favorite bands of all time.
Yeah. They have some pretty
They,
good stuff.
I've been listening to some of their songs since childhood, but I never really took a deep dive until I had all the time in the world. And wow, it was worth it. But and then also Bowling for Soup, I got so hard into them. I'm so mad that they haven't come anywhere near us. I want to see them so bad.
Meanwhile, I haven't been to a concert since 2014.
I'm gonna change that. I'm gonna drag you to something.
I have to like it. Otherwise, I won't go. Because I
feel like there'll probably be at least one concert out there that like we could go to and we would both be content with.
Yeah. I'm more of like,
you're more chill with music than I am.
Yeah.
If I don't like something, it will physically hurt me.
Yeah.
It will psychologically hurt my soul.
I'm in the like rap of like J. Cole and Ari Lennox, so like that realm. I'm saying it for the audience.
I know. I'm just saying I'm just putting on record.
I know. So like that realm of stuff, and also like some I guess alternative I've been into recently. So just like whatever shuffle comes on my Spotify and it sounds good, I've kind of just been adding it and going with it. So branching out a little bit more musically, but my bread and butter is like rap R&B, even some like soft rap, but not like newer rap. Let me specify. It is specific artists that I will listen to that currently make music now, and there's a specific reason, and that is because I was born in 1995. So, take that as you will. If you know, you know.
I have noticed a general trend that even though I like a lot of different things, most of the artists that I really, really deep dive into that just speak to my soul are ones that have never been cool. Not for a second in their lives. Styx was a major one. Bare Naked Ladies, obviously. Bay City Rollers. Now it's Bucks Fizz. It's just think of the weirdest, lamest, corniest artists that you can think of, and my brain will probably hyperfixate. They just speak to me. Like Bare Naked Ladies, they are dorks. They're so goofy. But
I'm sorry. This is kind of funny. Should I continue laughing for the camera?
I'm cut off. I think we need to wrap it up.
Yeah.
We
So
have more than enough.
before you go on a freaking tangent,
I'm not. I'm just defeated.
clocked out. Okay, so this is our first episode, probably in like 4 separate parts. There'll be the middle
Be
part.
gentle with it. Will be.
Yeah, please be kind
It's
to
a
us.
learning curve.
Be kind to us. We had some technical visual difficulties, so we'll try to either put a freeze frame of like our cats or something, or of
we'll
us,
figure it out.
or
We'll get it
something
free.
like that. But you'll still have the audio so to know what we're talking about. And yeah, we hope you enjoy learning a little bit about us and what we like and dislike and our family.
It's gonna be a hell of a good ride to come.
Yes.
I like what we did for this first one because it feels like a nice background into who we are and why we are the way we are.
Exactly. Kind of an essence of where this podcast was going.
Such a nice intro.
Yeah, so you have a little bit of background about kind of how we came to this conclusion of starting the podcast and kind of some of the experiences that we've had to give you a frame of mind of if you're going to like this podcast or not. If you like either of us or none of us, that's fine too. Don't feel obligated to continue watching if you don't like us. It's fine. Keep scrolling.
There's an ass for every seat.
Yes.
But we can't fit everybody in our seat.
Yeah. But if you can fit in our seat, please come join us.
It's just a full slumber party.
Yeah, exactly. We're just shooting the shit, sitting on the couch, a lesbian and an autistic, and here to give you some hopeful good advice, maybe.
See you next time.
Bye.